on the 5th of June, Boeing's Starliner carried its first two astronauts into space. A crucial test before the capsule could receive NASA's approval for routine flights. But what was supposed to be an 8-day mission docked to the ISS has been drawn out by months after the capsule sprang leaks and some of its thrusters failed. The first test flight carrying crew had been delayed several times, but represented a milestone in the aerospace giant's ambitions to step up its competition with Elon Musk's SpaceX. The CST-100 Starliner with astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore aboard lifted off from the Cape Canaveral in Florida, strapped to an Atlas V rocket. Let's quickly go across to TV. Venkateswaran, Professor, Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, and he's also the former senior scientist at Vigyan Prasar. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Let's start with the basics. Do tell us, how big of a role does Crew 10's successful launch play in finally bringing Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore back home?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you something that some of our viewers might be surprised. The spacecraft which has been launched today will come back to Earth only after about 6 to 7 months back, not immediately. The Crew 10, which has been launched today, carrying 4 astronauts, will be attached to ISS, and it will remain attached to ISS for next about 6 to 7 months. The Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore and 2 more astronauts will come back to Earth through Crew 9, which was launched about 6 months ago, which is already attached to International Space Station. So it is not as if that they are stranded there. They cannot come back. There is no way of them returning unless otherwise this mission goes there. That's not the point. The point is from 2000, the year 2000, okay, year 2000, November 2000, the International Space Station is continuously peopled. So it's like an emergency ward in a hospital. In an emergency ward, you have a doctor, a set of nurse. You don't run away after your 8 hours is over, right? I mean, you wait for the next team of people to come. You hand over. You tell that, patient number in 21 is, in bit shaky condition. So watch every 15 minutes and so on. That is, you give all the details. And then you go home and the new team takes over. So every 6 months, there is a rotation of crew in International Space Station. So the current crew, there are already 7 people in International Space Station. They are there from September. Of that 2, out of the 7, 2 are Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, who reached there in June. So they have been slightly longer time. Now this new 7-member crew will go there, of which, of course, first now only 4 people are going. They will take about 2-3 days for handover. In first 2 days, when you go to the space station for the first 2 days, you will be disoriented. You won't be able to function properly. So you'll have to acclimatize to space. So after the acclimatization is over, the whole crew will explain everything in the station. Like, for example, where they have kept the food, where they have kept the water, where everything is available and so on. Tell them everything about the space station. And then you come back and the new team takes over. So that's exactly is what is going to happen. This craft, which is launched today, is not a rescue craft, because it is not in this craft that Sunita Williams is going to come back. The craft in which Sunita Williams is going to come back is already attached to International Space Station. In fact, at this point, there is already 5 craft attached to the International Space Station, and this will be the 6th craft will be attached to the International Space Station.
Right. And so also do tell us, apart from this, what are some of the biggest challenges astronauts face when they end up staying on the ISS much longer than planned?
Actually, for staying much longer than they have planned, I don't think they will face anything. I mean, because there is nowadays almost crew supplies almost every month. In fact, March 1st, crew supply went and reached International Space Station, carrying food, water, fuel, personal goods. For example, your family can send something that you like to eat, things of that kind you can send, small quantities. So they have been going. So there is no harm or issue if you stay longer. People have stayed longer even beyond this. I mean, people have stayed more than a year and things like that. The issue is that anyone, it's not just only Sunita Williams. If you are in space and then you come back to Earth, you again will have to acclimatize to Earth. I mean, maybe I'll give you an example so then we'll have a clarity of what we are talking about. Let's say, for example, I'm sitting. So my legs are kind of closer to the ground and the gravity will be pulling my blood, right? So which means comparatively, the amount of blood in my head and blood in my leg will differ. There'll be larger amount of blood in my leg. In fact, against gravity, my heart has to push the blood to my head. Only then the blood will reach my head. And it is important that it reaches the head, right? But if you are in space, particularly in a space station, you are in a free falling condition. So there is no gravitational pull. So it means that the blood will kind of evenly flow all over your body. So which means that your head will have more blood than what you will have in your on Earth. So sometimes your head may look bloated. Okay, your eyes may slightly pop out because of the blood pressure. You will have to get used to it. I mean, once you get used to it, then you will work normally. But then when you come back suddenly, again the same issue will be there because your body was acclimatized to one particular condition. Now suddenly you have come back to the gravitational potential, right? So shift from gravity to kind of a free fall situation and coming back to the gravity, you will have adjustment problem. I'm just giving you one simple example so that everyone can understand. There are many other things, like for example, our backbone usually is in the shape of a S, English word yes, I mean bend. But when you go to space, it will become straight line. So when you come back, again it has to come back to that S shape. So there will be some discomfort before you do that. So people might be like walking with the difficulty when you land back on it. But these are to anyone who goes to space. It's not just only to Sunita Williams. Anyone who go to space will have this issue. I mean, if
And
you stay for
and
long.
and and also,
What's
sir, you'd agree when I say this, that spending extra months in space must take a toll on the body. Do tell us, sir. I'm sure our viewers would want to know. How is NASA really keeping a track of Williams and Wilmore's health, and also if it will have any kind of impact on future missions.
Actually, there are people who go and stay in the International Space Station for longer duration, like a year, more than a year, because it's a part of your medical research. Suppose if you want to go to Mars, it's going to take about 1.5 years. So how well the human body can acclimatize to 1.5 years is an important question. So staying like 8 months is actually not a big thing. I mean, if you look at International Space Station history, it's not a big thing. People have stayed for more than 450 days. So it's not a big thing. But if you are in a spacecraft, if you're in an International Space Station, you get 8 hours to sleep. During that 8 hours, you are not expected to come out of your sleep bag. You have to be inside. You sleep, you don't sleep, that's your problem. But you have to be inside. After that, the remaining time, every 15 minutes is chugged into a task. So from ground control, every day you will get a chart. So the first 15 minutes, clean your bay area. Next 15 minutes, look through this window and take photograph of Earth. Next 15 minutes, sit in this cycle-like instrument, do exercise. Various kinds. It will be for exercise, it's for taking photograph, it's for doing maintenance in the craft. I mean, basically you'll have to clean it. No, who's going to clean it? You have to clean it, right? So cleaning it, cooking, instruments are there. You'll have to test the instrument. So every person, all the 7 people, every 15 minutes, there'll be a task. You'll have to finish the task and inform the ground control. That's how your life goes. In between, of course, you get free time where you can just lie down, listen to music or watch television, speak to your family. Every day you get time to speak to your family. There are allotted times. Okay, so these are things that happen. Sometimes people in space also interact with students on Earth. So that's also planned. I mean, you are given time for it. So that's how usually the life goes. If you look from the early days of space travel, we have come a very long way. So early days, we were not sure of what's exactly going to happen. So slowly, researchers were keeping tab on the health of astronauts and cosmonauts. You are attached with the various sensors. So ground control can constantly monitor your vitals. Just like you are in a ICU bed, there are vitals which are collected, right? So it's collected. And then if there is any problem, that is addressed. But as of now, we have not got such kind of medical emergencies. But this information tells us what kind of issues happen if you are in space for prolonged time. And then we redesign exercises which can counter it. Like I said, no, for example, blood getting evenly distributed. So is there a way you can slightly modify it so that you can feel more comfortable? Things of that kind are studied, and then newer and newer exercises are produced, and those exercises are regimented. So every astronaut, cosmonaut has to go through that.
Right. And finally, sir, I'd want to understand from you, has this entire situation sort of changed the way NASA and its partners plan for crewed missions in the future? Are there, new precautions being considered?
Yeah, one thing. I won't say that Sunita Williams' case is really the dramatic situation, actually. Okay. So the dramatic situation happened in 1990. I'm not sure whether you were even born that time. I mean, maybe, yeah. So before 1990, there was a country called Soviet Union. So Soviet Union sent uh, cosmonauts to space. They were there in a Soviet space station called Mir. And then on the ground, the Soviet Union broke, became Russia and other countries. So there was no longer Soviet Union. So what happens to people who are in the space? They were left there. They stayed there for more than a year. Only afterwards, the systems were set, a spacecraft was sent, and then they were brought back. But still, they could have come back. There was already a spacecraft over there. Don't think that there was no spacecraft. Okay, there was all space station will have emergency capsule on which you can come back. Not emergency. The craft that you went will be attached. You can come back. They did not come back because the moment you leave a space station without a human, the space station will deteriorate. Then it's very difficult to bring it back. That is why you always have this rotation. Your new set should go, there should be a handover, and then you come back. So actually, the dramatic case was that time, not this time.